Hello, and thank you for joining me. It's me, Stephen Englander, as always, and this is my podcast, Between the Spreadsheets. On today's show, I've got Matt Archer, and we're going to discuss things like the AIS schemes and how you can best fund a business, specifically in the film industry. So, hello, Matt. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Stephen. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, it's great. I got the recipe that you sent me for the chicken broth, and my partner Melanie had cooked it for me last night, and I've got to say it's really good. So if you get any more recipes, that's great.
Well, that should last. If you cooked it in the quantities I suggested, that should last you a week. So give me a week. I'll get another one out to you.
Okay, no, that's great. Now, This podcast sort of goes out to small business owners, and small businesses are always looking for new ideas, and I love talking to people with ideas, especially where we can help people raise money or get the best tax incentives for the monies that they actually raise for the business they do. And I know that you have a lot of experience in the film production industries, and that's always fascinating, especially as tax tricks to get them to finance it. How does that work? I know there's been a lot of changes.
There used to be some good tax schemes, and they were schemes to fund feature films and TV shows, such as sale and leaseback.
Sale and leaseback. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the media anymore.
There's no point anymore.
There was so many different ways in which films and media could be funded through tax write-offs, personal write-offs, and sale and leaseback was one. Then there was Section 42 and Section 48, but the government clamped down on those purely for the fact that people were abusing them, and the government was right to clamp down on it. And then so then they upped the ante with EIS. They improved it to make it comparable to these other schemes, to encourage investors to invest in the businesses rather than projects. But again, it fell foul to loopholes, so the rules were tightened 2-3 years ago.
It's interesting with with all the different variations of the EIS schemes, the Enterprise Investment Scheme. That doesn't just apply to production companies. It can apply to pretty much any company, although it's not that difficult. It's not that easy to get approved because they want innovation and technology companies. But how would someone go about actually being approved for an EIS scheme?
Well, you're right. I mean, EIS was set up for any business. There are exceptions, such as finance and land, property. So
just let me explain very quickly. If you'll fill in the bigger gaps, but essentially, if your company, if you have a business and you register it as an EIS under the EIS scheme, and people invest money in that business, they can recover tax based on the investment they made. So if you make £10,000 investment, provided you pay the tax, you can effectively claim back 20% again, as a direct refund or as a reduction on next year's tax. Is that still the case?
No, it's improved. It's 30%.
It's 30%.
So in a nutshell, the EIS and CDIS, which is its baby brother, are very tax efficient ways of avoiding tax. Very good investment schemes. So with EIS, you get you can claim 30% of the investment back against your income tax, and you can carry that back up to a year. So, and then there are other benefits, but the big benefit is upon disposal of the shares, all profit is tax free. It's free of CGT.
Right.
So you get 30%. With seed EIS, you get 50% of your investment back. On investment, after 4 months after the company's been trading, you claim 50% of your investment back, which is a massive chunk.
It is.
And you can also claim loss relief if you should lose on this. So the maximum exposure of an investment on EIS is 38.5%. For seed EIS is 27.5%.
That's not bad odds, is it?
If you put to give it a working example, as you said, say you paid £5,000 in January, you just paid £5,000 in tax. So you had a tax liability for the tax year 2019 to 2020.
Yep.
You paid £5,000 in tax. If you invested £10,000 in a seed EIS company, you could claim 50% of that back. So you'd get your £5,000 back. And because you've already paid it to HMRC, you can just say, I want that £5,000 back, please.
Yeah.
You could have it. You can offset it against a future revenue, but most people would say, I'm investing now, so I can claw back what I've already paid.
Yeah. But what a great boon for a company that is looking to raise finance. So that's the advantage for the investor.
Yes.
And apart from the company being able to introduce investment into their company at fabulous rates, with the fabulous advantages, what other advantages are there for someone to register their company as an EIS or seed investment?
Right. Well, two points there. First of all, the advantage. Investing into a company via EIS or CDIs, that's a bonus. Yes, it's an advantage, but the advantage is it's effectively the government underwriting your risk. So you're getting full shares at half or 30% of the cost. But the big bonus is hopefully you're investing in a company that's going to return, dividends and revenue.
Yeah.
Tax free.
Yeah.
So that's the big advantage.
There's another advantage as well, isn't it?
Sorry, Stephen.
No, I'm saying there's another advantage as well. So it's not just the initial get some tax back or carry forward tax credits. You're also getting your dividends.
Yes. Yeah. So don't invest in a business to lose money.
No.
Invest in a business to earn.
Of course, but you're getting tax-free dividends, and then when you sell the shares, provided you've kept them for a certain amount of time, the gain on that's also tax-free. So it's an absolutely wonderful way of investing.
Well, let's just say the dividends aren't tax free.
Sorry,
again, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor.
You're right. I got carried away. I got carried away in the moment. Yeah.
There's some great advantages, but it's not. Yeah. It doesn't include.
I just want to go and find an EIS and seed companies to invest in because I'm so excited now. Yeah.
Well, we're one.
Yeah.
We are seed EIS compliant.
Well, let's look at that because that's another thing. The directors of the company, the owners of the company, can they claim the same benefits if they invest in their own companies?
Not EIS. And there's this connected rule, which is involved. It's not complicated, but it's involved. But if they changed the law recently that allowed, I think, for seed EIS investors to invest, directors to invest in their own company, but it's I would advise against it purely for the fact that if HMRC then rule against it, then you're going to lose your clients. It's best to get external investors, people who aren't invested, and you can't do I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine.
No, well, it's not this type of program.
They invest in yours.
No.
Yeah, it's all disconnected rules.
The company itself, apart from getting easier investment, are there any other advantages for the company?
It's cash. Well, it's capital. It's a good way of raising capital, and there's two advantages to getting external investors. One, there's the cash flow. EIS is usually for companies that are already trading, and therefore they need this extra capital to grow the business, maybe Series A funding, stuff like that. But CDIS is for startups, companies that need seed capital. But the biggest advantage of that is most investors who get involved at a CDIS level like to jump on board on the advisory board so they can help grow the company. They can use their skills in life to help grow the company. That's a great advantage to companies to have that skill set.
It is
available to them.
In this area, and I know we're always looking for advantages for people, but how easy is it? I mean, to make your company, get your company registered under the scheme. How easy is that? Is there what is the main criteria?
It's one application form.
Right.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to structure the company, but it's the process is very simple.
Yeah.
Structuring the company to be EIS compliant, not quite so simple.
Yeah.
But the idea that it was set up by the government in 1997. The idea is to build growth. I mean, billions, absolutely. I mean, billions, hundreds of billions are spent. I don't know about 100, but tens of billions are invested in companies every year via these schemes to grow them, to nurture
Funny
new
enough,
businesses.
a few weeks ago, I was speaking to a friend of a client who was asking me to register his company under EIS. And even as you say, the process is quite a simple process. This gentleman was virtually pre-trading and was just looking to give family members some relief on the investments that they've made. And I couldn't get through to him that he just wouldn't qualify. He just in the wrong area, in the wrong type of company, in the wrong products, and it was unlikely to succeed. So rather than have the arguments with people when they're so desperate to do this, I just said it'll cost thousands of pounds to set up because I just didn't want the job.
I mean, I've stepped away from EIS in recent years because the new conditions that were introduced 2-3 years ago scuppered EIS for
So
the
what
media.
are the main conditions? What are the main conditions to be registered?
There's the new conditions that were introduced were company growth and registered capital.
Yeah.
So that most media companies will set up an SPV in which to run the production, and SPVs are no longer compliant.
They're doing that in America at the moment, big time, to acquire assets of bankrupt companies, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean it makes sense because you're protecting the parent company. You set up a subsidiary, you make it an SPV, and everything's protected and controlled, and everybody knows, including the investors, knows what's going on in that company. But as you say, it's a special purpose vehicle. It's set up to do one thing and one thing only. Yeah. And EIS was created to help companies grow. So if you set up a company, it serves its purpose, then you close it down. That's not growing the company.
No. So just looking at what. So I've got this gentleman that wants to put his company as an EIS company, and I've said to him, but you're not in the world of innovation or software development or high tech or medical stuff or anything like that. Is that still true? Is that how it is? It's industry specific.
They are very much the darlings of the investment industry at the moment, and rightly so. But no, it's all most sectors. It's the investment cannot be asset backed. Bear in mind, I'm not giving advice. I'm not qualified to give advice. This is only my own personal experience.
This is if it's any consolation, nobody listens to these things anyway.
Stuff out the way.
Yeah. No, I just want to give people some broad ideas so that when they're doing my head in to put them onto these schemes, they understand that it's not just a filling in a form. That's the easy bit. We've got to structure the business right.
Yeah, and also they've got to do it for the right reasons. HMRC will assess the application.
Oh, they're not stupid. They can sniff them out.
Business.
Yeah,
exactly. So if, like your potential client was saying, I want to set up a company just so I can shelter some tax through it for my family. So, well, that's the wrong reason. Because, I mean, you're sheltering tax for it, but at the same time, it's kind of like you're probably still going to lose money.
Yeah. No, I think in this case, the family have invested the money and they're not going to get it back. So I think they're desperately trying to find some way of getting them something back. But in general, so we've got Accounts Direct. On what basis would Accounts Direct be qualified to be an EIS company?
well, the fact that you're a UK limited company, you have a permanent establishment in the again. It sounds
We
like
don't
I'm
know,
being
do we?
asked for advice.
We've got
Right,
to
so it's
put
kind of
the
like
application
you
in
have
and
to
see
be a
what they
permanent
say.
establishment.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't think accountancy firms are actually eligible.
No, well, this is the point I'm making. So you mentioned your firm's registered as an EIS company. On
Yes.
what basis did you wangle that? I mean, on what basis did you get approved?
No,
for
we
that?
did. We wangled it. Yeah, we wangled it. Yeah. No, but we did because all the big accountancy firms are saying we would never get it because we're a FMA Media
Yeah.
is a development company. We we design and build concepts for producers, right, for production companies, and so we are purely development. And HMRC was quite clear that that production companies cannot get EIS relief on development.
Right.
So they also you wouldn't get it. I said no, but it all comes down to the trade. How is your company trade? What is the trade that your company does? So development is our trade. We develop the projects, we create the projects, and we sell them on, or we charge a fee as a service fee. That's our trade. And HMRC said, yeah, that's fine. That's a trading company. You can have it, and that's how we got it. Whereas,
so it's not because you're selling the service of development, but because you're developing and then selling the product on.
Correct.
Right. That's interesting.
Yes,
see how if we just reinterpret.
If you're trying to develop, I mean, at the end of the day, filmmaking media is a manufacturing process.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through concept design, you go through development, you go through manufacturing, you go through sales.
Yeah.
So what the government said, well, if you're a production company, your trade is selling the end product. So you can, if you want to try and, so if you set up EIS or CDIS just to develop a project that you will then go and produce, that's not your trade. You're not trading.
No.
The EIS section of your isn't trading. You can have EIS on production. You can't have it on the development. You can have it on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you can't claim the tax relief until you've started trading. So until you've actually made the film and sold it, or actually you start making the film. First day of principal photography.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Yeah.
It's very complicated.
It's a different way of viewing things. It's a different way of seeing the same thing, isn't it?
Well, yes. What you have to understand, my advice to production companies is the way we have 100% track record on obtaining advance assurance for our clients. But the reason we do that is because we don't accept every offer of employment, because a lot of them won't get the advance assurance. But the ones who get it are able to pivot their thinking. Instead of saying, I want to bend the rules of EIS to fit my production, I say, okay, what do I need to do as a producer in my production to fit the rules of EIS?
Well,
and if you do that, and that applies for any company, and if you do that, you're more than likely to get it.
So
and you need advisors like yourself.
Is this the product that you're selling at the moment? Are you still involved in helping people achieve? No. Well, I can do that. So I suppose working together on these things. So if anybody has an idea and they're looking to raise capital, and you think you could be, it could be an advantage being registered under one of these schemes, do contact me at the number below, or if you prefer to contact Matt direct and contact Matt, you'll see his details coming up soon. Yeah, that's all interesting. So what is it that you're doing at the moment? What's your main line of business at the moment?
It's totally different to EIS.
Right. So maybe we should split this podcast into two and have one about EIS and one about what you're actually doing.
Yeah. It's okay. So the second half of the podcast is about creative development. We work with producers. At the moment, last year was a very good year for us. We're helping film producers pivot towards TV. cinematic TV.
Oh,
There's a big gap. There's a big gap between movies, TV, and in the middle of that gap are the streamers. The people like Netflix and Disney Plus.
Right.
And it's because filmmakers make movies, make cinema. TV producers make TV, which is things like sitcoms and police procedurals.
Right.
Whereas streamers, what they need are cinematic TV. So they need the filmmakers to come and make TV.
Yeah.
And that's what we help. We help the film producers pivot towards cinematic TV. What we like to say is in essence we help the producers create the franchises of tomorrow.
Oh, right. I don't think
which is a bold statement to make.
Yeah. So what sort of people are you working with?
Most of our clients are North American. I can't name names. We're under very strict NDAs on a lot of the projects, which doesn't help us when we're trying to raise finance.
No,
because we can tell people privately who we work with, but we can't on a public forum.
No,
but
it's fine.
No, I could tell you what they've done. I mean, one of them is one of Hollywood's go-to TV directors who has directed TV shows like Star Trek Discovery, Daredevil, Hannibal, American Gods.
All my favourites.
Right, exactly. Well, we're very genre-based. I mean, this is another thing about us. We're not kitchen sink dramas. We're very genre. We're action, we're thrillers, we're sci-fi, fantasy. These are the 4 out of the top 6 most watched genres on streamers.
So is it just the big firms you're dealing with? So if I had an idea, I mean, I had this great idea, being a Jewish accountant, where a lot of these Hasidic Jews sort of took off to the moon, and they missed and set up a whole planet of very religious Jews. Would that work? Could you get me funding for
that? A phrase we have is, there's no such thing as a bad idea. It's just the way it's developed.
Oh, you've got to be in our place sometimes on Thursday afternoon to come up with some really bad ideas.
No, but some of them. Well, I mean, you think about it, right? There was these 2 development execs in Hollywood said over coffee, or hopefully, I'd like to think it was over beers, to be honest, came out and said, "What's the most ridiculous title you can ever think of?" Right, and they came up with the idea. One of them and said, "Snakes on a Plane."
Yeah.
Right? And then that could have been such a bad idea, but actually it was a really good film.
Yeah.
So again, it's how things are developed.
I never saw it. The name put me off.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. I mean, it's a tongue-in-cheek action movie. I mean, with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As soon as he got attached, the studio wanted to change the name, and he said, "You change the name, I'm walking.
Oh,
I'm only doing this film because of the title."
Shows you. So if we've got any budding filmmakers out there, they should really speak to you, because not only can you put them in the right direction, but you might be able to raise funding for them, and we can look at some sort of EIS scheme to help the investors. So it's an all-in-one package, really.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of opportunities. I mean, we've cracked the Holy Grail.
Yeah, that was a good film as well.
That was a great film.
Well, Monty Python was in it anyway.
Yeah, they're all over it.
Yeah, it's such a great subject. I sort of want to talk about all these films and especially the sci-fi ones, but it's a business podcast, and we've got to keep it to the business area.
Well, let's talk about the business of film. Okay, let's talk about the business then.
Yeah.
Why make TV shows for the streamers when you could make movies? The answer is this: what would you, as a business, at the end of the day, a producer should be the CEO of the production company, and it's their business and it's their responsibility to grow that business. So what would you rather be doing as a business owner? What would you rather be doing? Making one film, one £5 million film every 3 years, or one $20 million TV series every 6 to 9 months?
I think I'd like the TV series.
Exactly. And guess what? Because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
Cost of manufacture of independent films gone up by about 30%.
Right.
Routes to there's no upside. Routes to market are are nil.
Yeah.
DVD and Blu-ray has plummeted because of the streamers, so you've got no ancillary markets. So what are you going to do with your movie? Where are you going to sell it? Whereas streamers have risen, and they're spent. I mean, there's the top 6 streamers, right? Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, which is NBC Universal, and Apple TV, and Amazon. Those 6 companies are spending $120 billion a year on content.
Wow.
Okay, I'll give you like Netflix is spending $20 billion a year. So we all know how big Netflix is and what they're spending. Right? Netflix, that's $20 billion. That's 1/6 of the total budget these people are spending on content.
It's just mad.
And then let me just put that into perspective again.
Yeah.
The BBC and ITV spend about $1 billion a year on non-sports content, right? Every year, right? So BBC $1 billion, ITV $1 billion. Netflix is spending $1.6 billion a month.
Wow.
On content. That's how huge the market is. Yeah. And that's why film producers are looking to pivot now because they're like, the opportunities are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we do. We help them.
So what would you do? So would someone have an idea, and they what would they do? Would they send you the manuscript? Would they give you a call? What would they do?
Usually a synopsis, and send us a synopsis. Our first. We don't like reading scripts, right? Until we're actually engaged, because you get too involved in it. And our job is story development. Our job is world building, because if you can tell a story in 90 minutes, it's very hard to tell that story in 12 hours, i.e. 12 episodes. So you have to expand it. You have to expand the world in which the story exists. Yeah. And so that's where we come in, where you find new characters, new storylines, subplots, and ground the world. Right. So people come to us with the synopsis and the outline.
So what's the synopsis? Like a couple of pages of detail, or a pilot maybe? Or a
couple of paragraphs. Yeah. Just says, look, this is the idea, and then we run with that. And if
would they email you that?
Script, they email it.
So there you go,
Please
guys.
Contact.
Email at this the number the email coming up, and you presumably work with them and advise them and generate all things to get it into a production ready manner.
Well, correct. Production ready is the key phrase there.
Yeah.
Because the idea is you get it.
Do you help them?
You get it up.
Sorry, we keep interrupting. I'm sorry. You then do you help them present that product, the production to the relevant buyers? How do they make contact with the TV stations?
We can do.
Yeah.
Well,
and how do you work?
We work with, the people we work with at the moment, because there's 3 of us in the company, and we're quite boutique, and we're still growing the company. But so the people we work with are usually pretty well connected themselves, and don't need us to do that. And we develop their concepts. They come up with ideas. They have or they acquire them via writers they know, and then we're brought on board to develop them up. An example is a producer on the East Coast of America acquired the rights to an obscure film from the 1980s, and my business partner, my co-founder Andrew, developed that project up into a 3-season TV series.
Wow!
With transmedia attached to it, right? So other projects, not just TV, and that's now under consideration for production by HBO, Netflix, and the Stars Network. So that's what we do, is we take the concepts and we elevate them to studio level.
So just tell me, what if someone who's a startup or someone's got an idea, what sort of money should they have behind them before they even approach you or go into this world?
Well,
I know it's how long's a piece of string, but just you're not going to get there with 50 quid.
Well, a lot of it. Well, £5,000 builds a lookbook and maybe a project Bible, which are the marketing selling materials.
Right.
But that's mainly because of the artwork. People forget artwork is so important. A picture paints 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So use a picture. So we work with some of the world's leading concept artists. They work with Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy to create the world. Because as I said, nobody really likes reading scripts.
No.
They want to look at something, a pitch book that comes in. I mean, look at a pitch deck for a business, an investment pitch deck. You want to see the graphs, the pictures. You don't really want to read the text.
Yeah.
And it's the same for a script or a project. So you get concept artists to work on the artwork. It lands on the exec's desk, and they say, "We love this. We need to buy this, so they don't take it to our competitors."
Yeah. And also, one of the reasons I'm asking about the money side is obviously to prevent people just with ideas that, make them realise that there is a cost to all this. And also, one of the first things you do if you're looking to set up some sort of investment company or to raise money, is that the first question to ask is, well, how much money do you need?
Yes.
Obviously we need an idea of what even a smallest of projects is going to cost. So don't. So is the idea, don't even attempt to come into this world unless you've got a starting stake of £5,000.
No. If you want to engage our services, that's the ballpark figure. Exactly. But I wouldn't say don't come into this world, because if you've got access to great designers and you've got great ideas and you've got great scripts, I mean, you just do it, get it done.
But at the end of the day, if you've got an idea for a film and you're sort of a little bit more committed than just chatting about it, then it's worth a discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be director of Northwest Producers and Directors, which was a network association right across the Northwest for film and TV producers and directors. Yeah. And it was a great community for sharing ideas and helping people get elevate their projects to the next level. Yeah. So I'm always, in my heart of hearts is I'm for the region. I'm for the betterment of the region. Yeah. What's good for the whole is good for the individual. Yeah. So I'm always happy to give advice. I'm always happy for people to contact us and run it through. But if people want to engage our services, then unfortunately, then we do need to charge.
We've all got to make a living. We've all got to make a living. But just on a final note. Sorry.
But the flip side of that is the reason we're trying to raise investment for FMA Media is because we have over 100 ideas in our own library, and we're trying to get proof of concept. So the concept for the whole company requires further investment, but because we've been doing it for other people for the last couple of years, now we want to do it for ourselves.
Why not?
So we're trying to raise money to create proof of concept, and so that's so if you have other people who are trying to raise money for investment, what we've found is people want to see track record. Obviously, people want to see track record. People want proof of concept. So that's key. Yeah. Okay. So that would be my advice. If somebody's trying to look into get investment into a media company, it's. I mean, let's face it. Media companies are the easiest way to lose money. Yeah. So track record and management team are key, as we found out. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, I remember the producers. Do you remember the producers sold 50% of the company to 10 different people, knowing it was going to go bankrupt? Yes. But just on our final, because we're running out of time, unfortunately. Right. There's nothing like a good TV production to promote your own brand. So there's lots and lots of companies out there that have raised cartoons and TV shows and everything purely to promote their own brand of food or toys or whatever it is they're doing. So anyway, on that note, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, Matt, and I'm sure we'll be in touch, and I'm sure we'll have lots of fun going forward into the future. And again, remember, if anybody watching this, decides that they'd like to contact me or Matt, feel free to contact direct. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next edition.